Joining us now, he's live in Phoenix. Had to fly across the country. Vernon Jones, House of Delegates member, Democrat in Georgia, and a Trump supporter has come out for Trump. African-American Vernon Jones, one of the only, I guess, Democratic elected officials in America that is actually openly supporting President Trump for re-election, and he's with us now. Vernon, thanks for getting up early. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John, and thank you for paying tribute to our friend Herman Cain. As you know, he was a successful businessman, a Christian, very active in his church, family man, and obviously was very astute politically. He's just a great American, and he'll be missed. So we're praying for his family and, just knowing that he's going to be up in heaven with his 999 plan, so get ready.
It's 999. We still play that to this day. It's so funny, but when he announced his campaign, it was in Atlanta. He had a big rally in Atlanta when he did his kickoff, and there were like thousands of people there. And this was before the so-called rally, the Trump rally. He had like a couple thousand people there. And he announced his campaign, and he put sunglasses on. He had a hat and sunglasses. I'll never forget that. And I'm like, okay, there is something different about this guy that can announce his campaign with a pair of dark sunglasses and a hat. It was pretty funny because, the sun was shining. Yeah, he did his own thing, no question about it. But people don't realize how he came on the scene. Do you remember how he came on the scene?
Well, he ran for the United States Senate first. And
before that, here's how he came on the scene. Okay. Bill Clinton was president. And Bill Clinton had a town hall meeting. And Bill Clinton was promoting Hillary's takeover of healthcare system, right? So this was pre-Obama, the Hillary Care. And so Bill Clinton had a town hall meeting on Hillary Care. This is in like 93. And Herman Cain, who was the CEO of Godfather's Pizza, was one of the speakers that was challenging the president in the town hall meeting. Nobody had ever heard of him. And he challenged Clinton directly on Hillary Care as the president of Godfather's Pizza, and that's how he burst onto the scene in that exchange with Bill Clinton, saying that he didn't understand. He said to Bill Clinton, "You don't understand economics." That's how he burst on the scene.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I forgot that. Yep, you're right.
So, Vernon Jones, you got into a tangle yesterday. Can you kind of share with our audience what happened?
Well, I wasn't thinking about it as a tangle. I just was not going to be tangled up or tangled out. It's interesting, John, that an African-American conservative who can make an independent thought based on one's policies or one's principles is called out as if you're being bought. Someone has paid you that you cannot come to that conclusion on your own. And when the reporter was asking me, and I was defending, I don't have to defend Donald Trump can defend himself, but when I was taking my position that I support the president, then he shot back with, "Are you being paid by the president?" That's an insult. That was merely something that the liberal news media was trying to do to shut me down, to silence me. And they did another colleague of mine like that earlier that week, where he was being interviewed on MSNBC. And the young lady asked him, did Trump have some financial interest? Did he have some financial gain with Trump from doing that? So, but that's the bigotry in the Democratic Party. That's the bigotry with liberal news. That's Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. All that feeds into the same narrative. And so, ironically, I had to let him know he's the one that's being paid to attack Donald Trump. He's being paid to try to run people like me back on the plantation. He's being paid to shape a narrative to keep blacks from supporting Donald Trump, or to keep people, period, from supporting Donald Trump.
Well, you're so right, Vernon, and it was insulting because basically by the journalist, by the TV commentator who was being paid by NBC in order to attack Trump. That's why he's there. If he was not able to do that, he wouldn't have that job. So you turn the tables on him. But the genesis of that question is to, number one, insult your intelligence, insult you personally, and number two, to say you're not capable of independent thought without monetary gain.
Right. That's it. That's it in a nutshell, John. And that's been their playbook for years and years and years. And that's why a lot of African Americans are afraid to come out for Trump, because they don't want those same things to take place with them. They don't want to be called a sellout. And believe it or not, a lot of whites who support Donald Trump, they don't want to come out because they don't want to be shamed into being called a racist. So if that liberal network, they're at work. And obviously, you know that the MSNBC and CNN, all those others, they are a part of the Democratic Party's campaign to win the election. And so there's no objective news. It's all slanted. It's fake news, actually.
Well, Vernon, what's happening now is the left, the woke speech, monitoring speech, crushing everybody, their thought, shaming them. It's now having an impact, because I know neighbors of mine that last time had Trump signs out. I purchased as chairman for the state. I get a whole bunch of signs. I offered them to my same neighbors. They're all voting for him. This time they were like, I don't really want to put one out. I don't want to get, my car keyed. I don't want to get eggs on my house. I just don't want to, I'm just going to vote for him. I'm going to do everything I can, but I don't want to put the sign out. And so it is having an impact. Look, I'm going to play this 2-minute clip here, if you don't mind, from you yesterday, Vernon, because I think really the way you answered it and the way it was presented to you, everybody should really hear this. I mean, this is what Vernon Jones was put through yesterday, trying to explain as a black man his support for President Trump. As a black man and a Democrat, which doesn't fit the narrative, here's what he went through yesterday. Kira, let's play the clip.
If you look at the unemployment among African Americans during his years and during the Obama years, clearly it was much better. If you look at opportunity zone districts, if you look at support and financial support to historical colleges, clearly it's better off under his administration than the previous administration. So, I don't want to get caught into politics.
Well,
just because I'm a Democrat, my party feels as though
I like to traffic in facts, and much of what you just said is patently false. But I do want to. Representative Jones. This is my show. I'll ask questions. Give me a second.
You had me on your show.
I know,
let me explain. Don't cut me off when I'm giving an answer.
I'm not cutting you off, but I do want. Are you a paid campaign surrogate? Are you being compensated?
Let me be clear. You get paid to shape a liberal narrative. You get paid to attack this president. I don't get a dime for this president. I don't get a dime from the campaign. Everything I've done has been me and based on my principles. And see, that's the problem. When an African American that's elected official,
I did not raise your
race. Let me finish now. Let me finish.
Whoa. You're not going to imply that I asked that question because you're black.
So don't ask me that. You only ask me that because I don't fit your narrative. This president never offered anything. I don't want anything from this president. It's what I can do for my country. And you need to accept that many other African Americans and others support this president because of his policies. And to insult me to say, am I getting paid?
I've asked the same question. I have asked the same question
and that's
of
Democrats
who come on.
MSNBC and their narrative to keep blacks silent who happen to support this president. Why can't I be like white liberals or other whites? Nobody questioned they're getting paid.
State
so I have to get paid. Do you ask Democrats? Do they get paid?
I just said if you
paid by Joe Biden.
I just said to you.
Have you ever asked any host on your show that they've been paid by Joe Biden?
State Representative Vernon Jones. Representative Jones.
Kira, we need to keep this clip forever and ever and ever and play it every month just to remind people. Vernon, that was your best moment on TV. I mean, I've covered you for years, as you know. We go back, I don't know how many years. I don't want to tip my age, about 25 or 30 years to DeKalb County when you were the chairman. I've covered you for 30 years. That was the most dynamic exchange I've ever heard. You didn't let him get the best of you. He wouldn't let you answer a question. That's what the fake news does. You completely tied him up and spit him out and exposed him for the fraud he is. Great job.
Well, John, here's my point. This is a real example of voter suppression by intimidation. They want to silence me. They want to go after anyone who has an independent thought, to keep you from voting a certain way. And he does not want me to express myself on that show, because why? It would be persuasive and influential to others who may be on the line, who others who may, well, wait a minute, he's right. What Vernon's saying is right. Maybe I need to rethink this thing. Maybe I do need to leave this plantation. Maybe I didn't realize I was living on a plantation. Wait a minute. I'm woke now. That's what they don't want to get out. And that's why he was trying to cut me off when I started. When he mentioned let's I think something about traffic and facts. Well, let's traffic in facts. He wouldn't let me traffic in facts, but I had to, I just wasn't going to be bullied like they do a lot of their voters like me, who's not carrying their narrative. I just couldn't do it, John.
Well, when he said traffic in facts, what were you saying anything to him that was not factual?
Right. There's no question that blacks under President Trump had the lowest level of unemployment going back to slavery. President Trump has done more for historical black colleges than any other president going back to founding the black colleges by a president. President Trump has clearly, with the First Step Act and prison reform, reversed what Joe Biden did, that incarcerated masses of blacks. This president has created more jobs in a short period of time in his presidency than most presidents you can think of in modern time.
Right.
This president finally stands up to China and all those other countries with trade agreements. And so those are facts, but not their narrative facts.
The fact that you're a black male Democrat, I've been elected many times, held a number of very serious positions, ran for U.S. Senate, came very close to winning that race, DeKalb CEO, ran for sheriff, state representative a number of years. You're very well respected in your district and in the Atlanta community. You've run businesses, so you just don't fit what they're doing. And I think you nailed it. I mean, it's people like yourself that come on TV and are willing to say, look, a lot of black people are going to vote for Trump because their lives are better because, like you said, it's his policies. I'm voting for him because his policies make people's lives better, and that's my opinion. But you're not supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to be part of the herd, I guess.
You're not supposed to think at all, John. You're not supposed to think at all. Liberals want to think for black people. Let us take care of you. We'll even build you a Habitat house, but not in our neighborhood. That kind of mentality, the paternalistic mentality. Like when Bill Clinton said, even when his wife was campaigning against Obama, he said in South Carolina, haven't I been good to y'all? Haven't I been taking care of y'all? What is that about? When he got in trouble with Jim Clyburn that time. So, it just goes to show you, John, where they are. And that's the bigotry that I'm unraveling and exposing in the Democratic Party. It talks about being a part of a big tent, but it isn't, certainly not, for thinking black men and women with conservative leanings. They don't want us there. But ironically, they don't mind having whites that are independent thinking and conservative. When whites vote for Republicans, white Democrats vote for Republicans, they're elevated as Reagan Democrats. But when a black does it, then he's a sellout. It's the hypocrisy of it,
What are you selling out,
John? We're going to focus. We're going to focus on getting this president reelected. He's going to make America healthy again. He is working hard. He's taking the virus serious. He's getting resources out to state. At the same time, he's pushing the private sector to come up with this vaccine that's going to, going to wipe this thing out so people can get back to their lives like they were prior to this pandemic. So it's all about getting Trump reelected. Joe Biden has an eye. The difference between, I want to be clear about this, John. The difference between Joe Biden and President Trump is Joe Biden has a dream. Oh, if you elect me this time, after 49 years, I'll do something. But President Trump has a solid record of accomplishments for this country. And so that's what I see. That is clear as day.
How does Trump turn the corner and win? What does he have to do, Vernon Jones?
Well, for one, in my opinion, you can tell he's gone into 2.0. He is letting the American people know that he is serious about this virus, that he cares about them. He's still pushing to try to get America open, but at the same time working working on the vaccine that can get people cured or to, like I said, wipe this pandemic crisis out. But more importantly, John, this president understands too, if you go and just start mailing out mass mailings and not do it by absentee balloting, mass mailings will have a disaster impact on this election, and too much is at stake. And this president realizes that. And so he's multitasking. He's working on the economy. He's working on getting the private sector to come up with a vaccine. He's working each and every day to defend ourselves with these surrounding countries like China, standing up to them. He's a multitasker. The election's going to take care of itself. People know he has a record. He just has to stay forward and do not let the media take him off his game. Just do what he's always done. He's the best person. He's the best salesperson there is. Let people know that there's hope, and it's around the corner, and he's the best one that can get them there.
Vernon Jones, Representative Vernon Jones, an Atlanta Democrat, African-American, is supporting President Trump, going through the ringer for that, for standing up for what he believes in. I'm sure most of our listeners know this, but Vernon and I go back 30 years, and I first started covering when he was DeKalb County CEO. And he was like, I got to tell you, Vernon, remember those? You were like the best CEO in the whole Atlanta metro area because you stood up to the labor unions, you cut costs, you took the county from basically bankrupt into the black. You were a big supporter there of the DeKalb County police, of the sheriffs. You did a great job there.
We support law enforcement like this president. And that's another thing, too. When you see these Democratic governors and you see these Democratic mayors that are not aligned for protesters, because protesters protest and they protest peacefully. You have rioting going on. And the Democrats, because they do not have a strategy to beat this president,
right,
they can't beat him on his record. They do not want to see a vaccine coming around the corner. They do not want, they want the buildings to be burned and looting to take place. This is their answer. They don't want the federal government to step in and stop all the burning and all those things. Look at, John, with the young lady, the district attorney, up in Minneapolis, St. Louis, where here's a family protecting their property from rioters coming onto their property, breaking their fence, and some of them had guns, and the local Democratic district attorney there arrested them for pointing guns and protecting their property. Thank God the attorney general of that state dropped the charges, but it goes to show you that this chaos is their strategy to win the election, not pulling the country together. Matter of fact, they don't mind these young children being shot down. Where's Black Lives Matter when these black kids have been shot down? Those black lives don't matter? No, because they have a different agenda themselves. They're funded by the same folks who fund Antifa, John. And this president recognized that they can't fool him. And he is a president of law and order. We have to support our men and women who wear that uniform bravely. But when they are stripped by these Democratic mayors from enforcing the law, what in the world is going on with that, John? And the American people, including those white suburban mothers that they're saying Joe Biden had, no, they see that the Democratic Party is not for law and order. They want their families protected. They want their property protected. And they're going to fool these Democrats in the news media, the liberal news media in these elections. They're going to fool them because they're going to vote for law and order over looting and burning.
Vernon Jones, we're out of time. I want to thank you for getting up early in Phoenix as your travel schedule permits to be with us today. John Fredericks Radio Network.